quarterback on that team too. And last time I checked, Sanchez was Hispanic. So I just don't, I don't know. I don't know, Shady. I mean, dude, you need to reel it back in, man. You know, this is not this. You don't want to take up this whole Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson type thing. You don't want to do that, man. You don't want to do it. We've heard, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN's First Take even, come out and say that he thinks that Chip Kelly could be racist. That is a very slippery slope. And again, I'm never one to play the race card. I mean, there have been times that I have been profiled, but I'm not going to say, I'll give you a perfect example. And this is just in my life. For those of you that listen to me on the radio or are familiar with me from the radio, prior to being terminated by CBS Radio, I was the sports anchor on News and Talk 1380 WAOK, and I was also the AM sports anchor during the Ryan Cameron Morning Show with Wanda Smith. When I was fired, after I finished my shift on October 29, 2014, I was replaced by a white guy that worked in the building. I was fired by black people, and I was replaced by a white guy. Did I throw the race card out there? Oh, my God, I can't believe you fired me and you're replacing me with a... No. I didn't. And why didn't I do that? For several reasons. Number one, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to let my bitterness cause... And again, I've said a lot of things in bitter, so let me back up. But I'm not going to let my bitterness cloud my better judgment. The guy that I was replaced by was already working for the company because we had a news and talk station, we had an urban music station, and we also had a sports talk station. And he was working in the same capacity that I did on the urban side for our sports talk station. So it just made more sense, instead of hiring somebody else to come in and do my job, it just made more sense to get this young man to just do updates on all three radio stations. Did I send CBS corporate a letter talking about CBS as racist? I didn't. Did I call Rodney Ho, the guy that covers, radio and TV news here in Atlanta for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and scream bloody murder racism? No, I didn't. Because you have to be very careful with those subjects. Because as I said before, it's a very slippery slope. Very slippery slope. And the one thing that I'm never going to be is one of these people that after I go out and make all these allegations, I got to come back and apologize. I got to eat it. Oh, I was wrong. Or I was this. No, that ain't me. That ain't me. Now, I've been wrong. And yes, when I'm wrong, I'm loud and wrong. Because that's what I was taught. If you go be wrong, you better be loud and wrong. But when it comes to touchy subjects like racism, you have to be very, very careful. Especially when you don't have a reason, you don't have any proof. This dude has shown, again, the draft was Thursday through the weekend. If this dude was really racist, guess what he would have done? He would have drafted 6 white guys, but he didn't. He drafted 5 black guys. 5 of his 6 draft picks were black. He's made, a lot of signings of black guys. So again, Shady, just like I started this off, man, please shut the hell up. Play football. Play football. Because what's going to be the deal if Rex Ryan, if they ship you out of Buffalo? What's going to be the deal then? So again, man, just play football. Don't worry about getting into all of the racial and, the racial commentary and, feeding into, your bitterness, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. You were hurt that you were traded by a team you grew up watching. You grew up watching the Steelers and the Eagles, and you felt betrayed. Just say it. It's okay to say that you're hurt. That's the one thing that I've learned over the past, 7 months? It's okay. If you're bitter, just say it. And then that way, everybody could just be like, okay, we get it. You were hurt that you got traded and all of that. But when you start throwing that race card around, boy, you got to be careful, Shady. You got to be careful. This is the Sports Kings Podcast, being heard via Spreaker.com, or we're not here, we're there. There is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Sports Kings Live. You can always shoot us an email, sportskingslive@gmail.com. Rob Calloway here, the first hour of the podcast, flying solo as my man Big Mike in an undisclosed location, getting some much needed rest. And, because I've been out several times since we started this podcast, so, it was only my duty to fill in for my boy, because he's been holding it down for me last week while I was in Vegas. And, as I've been, doing this job search thing. So much needed rest. So big shouts out to the homie Big Mike. Now, coming up in the next hour of the show, and yes, there will be a next hour of the show, because we have not talked about the NBA playoffs, nor have we talked about the fallout from the more fallout from the fight of the century, which was Pacquiao versus Mayweather. So we're going to talk about that coming up in the next hour. But really quick, before we end this hour, here's a study out of the United Kingdom. Scientists are taking a fresh look at the evolution of popular music, and they say the explosion of hip-hop in the 90s was the most important cultural shift in American pop music. Can you believe that? I can believe it. Yeah, I can. The research published today comes from an analysis of nearly 18,000 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 charts from 1960 to 2010. A research team from Imperial College in London used computers to organize songs in audio styles and then assign each song to a style group based on patterns they found. Their data shows the explosion of hip hop in 1991 was a bigger cultural shift than the British invasion of 1964, which kind of caught me off guard, because of course the British invasion, I mean, that was really it when you start talking about music and the Beatles and all those guys. I think the Monkees came from over there. I mean, I could be mistaken about the Monkees, but definitely the Beatles came from overseas. And who else? A few other guys that I can't. And I'm really jumping off the deep end here. I'm not sure. Well, the Rolling Stones, they're not from America, are they? Are they? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to do the research either. But rap is definitely taken over since 1991. But the funny part is now you have rappers like Young Thug, who I totally cannot stand. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, has offered Young Thug a handsome amount of money just to quit rapping. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, yeah. I'm not the only one that doesn't like Young Thug. But my boy Big Mike, the other sports king, he's into this ratchet music. But my thing is, I could dig the ratchet, but I have to know what you're saying. And I have no idea in most cases what Young Thug is saying. Anyway, sticking with this hip-hop thing, P. Diddy, Sean Combs is the richest person in hip-hop. Forbes has come out with his list of hip-hop's wealthiest artists of 2015, and Diddy tops the Forbes list 5 with an estimated worth of $735 million. Diddy's wide range of investments include the Shun Jun clothing line, the Aqua Hydrate water brand, and multimedia network Revolt, which my boy Kenny Burns is the senior vice president of. So big shouts out to them. Dr. Dre is number 2 on the Forbes 5 at $700 million. Dre made $500 million off the sale of his headphones, Beats by Dre last May. Rounding out the top 5 wealthiest hip-hop artists are Jay-Z at $550 million, 50 Cent at $155 million, and Birdman from Cash Money at $150 million. Now, this is kind of crazy. I'm going to have to go back and actually read this thing because weren't we touting Dr. Dre as a billionaire? And I guess $700 million is damn near a billion. Close to a billion I'll ever be. But I'm going to have to go back and see what maybe we called him a billionaire because the sale was for $1 billion or over $1 billion. But did he? Getting it in. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, you heard the list of things I read off. His investments, Sean John clothing line, the Aqua Hydrate water brand, and Revolt, the TV network. It says nothing about music, nothing about Bad Boy Records, because Diddy, then that's what I'm saying. I heard that Diddy's back in the studio, but this dude has found a revenue stream outside of rap that is phenomenal. And he's to be commended. A lot of these rap guys, not all, but a lot, have found, other revenue streams outside of rap music that have helped them really sustain over the years. 50 Cent with the whole vitamin water deal. And then Dr. Dre with the beats. You can't forget Ice Cube, who, like Dr. Dre, started off as a hardcore gangster rapper, the same group, NWA. And then, lo and behold, he gets into this acting thing, and then he starts his own production company, Cube Vision. And now, he's raking in the dough. And actually, just heard today that there's actually a Barbershop 3 coming out, and Nicki Minaj will be featured in that. So, like I said, these guys are, to be commended for being able to find these other avenues to generate revenue. Well, that about do it for the first hour of the Sports Kings podcast. Again, when we're not here at Spreaker, we're there, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Sports Kings Live. Coming up in the next hour, we will talk NBA playoffs and more fallout from the fight of the century. Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao, all of that and more coming up in the next hour. This is the Sports King podcast being heard via Spreaker.com.